Morning, y'all. It's just about 7 a.m. here. I found this article. It was posted last night at 10:30 p.m. Um, I think this is a completely made up story, and I'll tell you why is when we get to that point.殺したくないロシア兵、戦闘拒否も帰還も。Russian soldier says, "I don't want to kill anybody," so he refuses to fight or they refuse to. Some refuse to fight and return home. So, um, basically, they're saying what's going on with Russia based on what's happening to the Ukrainian soldiers. So they basically changed who the target of their propaganda is. So, because Russia has shown they're completely behind Putin. Like, what was it, 80% or something supported the incursion to protect the Donbass from the Ukrainian Azovs and stuff like that. The actual Nazis. Um, so let's begin. ロシア軍がウクライナでの攻勢を強める一方、ロシア国内ではほころびがロシア兵の権利を保護する団体のタバロフさんによると、ウクライナでの戦闘を拒否し、帰還した兵士は少なくない。So, while Russia's strengthening their attack on Ukraine, there's a inside Russia there's a form of hokorobi. Let me look that up real quick, because I'm still half asleep. Um, uh, Horokobu. It doesn't say Horokobu, right? Okay. Alright. So there's Horokobiru. Da, 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 da. Yeah, like, it's basically saying there's there's a hidden feeling going on in Russia, and that this Tabarov person is in charge of a group that takes care of the Russian soldiers' rights, and he says it's not a small number of soldiers that are refusing to fight and coming home. Okay, I believe this is Kyoshaku, but Showaku. Okay. So, ロシアが完全掌握を目指すウクライナ東部のルハンシク州では残された住民の避難が行われていました。So, Russia's complete control, or the way they want it to go exactly as they hope for. In Luhansk, the leftover people are being evacuated. Well, why do you think they're being evacuated? Because maybe, the fighting is there, and Russians want to help their their cultural brethren, And so they make up a whole bunch of conversations here. So I'm going to go through these. These conversations are really, really strange, and like the way that they take them and they supposedly translate them out of Russian into Japanese seems like they're hiding something, because it sounds really, really strange. So first they start with a police officer talking to a resident. Okay, so this is they're trying to make Russia look really, really bad in this article. And to keep in mind, this is Terebi Asahi, which is like what's considered to be a left-wing news agency in Japan. It's the only one, but they're not really left-wing. They just, put a face on there. They used to be more against the government than they are now. They are now basically completely on the side of the government. Kind of like, think of in the U.S. like how Fox News is considered to be more trusted than CNN or MSNBC or something, but yet they toe the line more often than not, and people just don't get it. This is kind of the same thing. Okay, so 警察です。避難ですか？避難しますか？お手伝いすることは？ So, this is the police. Are you evacuating? Do you need help moving? Then 荷物がたくさんあります is what the resident says. I have a lot of things to carry. Okay. Right, so ルハンシク州の知事によると、すでに 95% はロシア側に占領。So, in Luhansk, according to the Luhansk governor, it's already been 95% taken over by Russia. Excuse me, Russia didn't take over the Donbass. They're protecting the Donbass. The Donbass, both of the regions are independent. And Russia has always said and Putin has always said that his he respects their sovereignty. So, and I mean, later, maybe the Donbass has a vote to join Russia, which they'll probably pass, like Crimea did. But which the Crimea vote was a legal vote. It was by the people. Don't believe the lies about that. Even international observers said it was a legal vote. So, and international observers are globalists. So, yeah. So they're already saying that Russia has basically taken control of Luhansk. But they haven't taken control of it yet. They're right now in their position, they're defending it. Now, going forward, they'll probably have it annexed, or they'll have a referendum there, and the people vote on it, and most likely because of the past, 8 years of violence against them, they will, they'll vote to join Russia and become part of Russia again. So just wait for that. And if you need more information on this, look up Gonzalo Lira. He's in Kharkov, and he knows way more about this than anybody else out there. So yeah, his channel is what is it? Gonzalo Lira 2, with the Roman numeral 2, because the what is it? The Ukrainian version of the CIA, basically the glowies of Ukraine, basically kidnapped him for a week, and we don't know what happened exactly. He hasn't said exactly what happened, but he's safe now, so that's a good thing. But they took control of all his social media accounts, so that's why he had to start over with everything. So anyway, ウクライナ軍の最後の拠点となっているセルベロネツクでは 絶え間ない攻撃をさらされていると言います。So, they're saying that the Ukrainian soldiers last base in Luhansk basically is Severodonetsk, and they're constantly under fire. It said they're constantly under fire. 包囲されているのを防ぐため、ウクライナ軍が撤退する可能性も伝えられており、これにクレバ外相は So they're talking about this Ukrainian foreign minister saying that in order to prevent a surround of the troops, they've been told to pull back, but there ain't like this if you look at the actual thing is like the minute Russia gets a surround, the soldiers have to give up because Russia is the way they're conducting this operation is very methodical, and there are like I forgot who said I can't remember if I heard it on the Duran or through Gonzalo Lira, but this tactic is to prevent a loss of life. It's they just want people to surrender, put down their arms, and they'll let them go free basically. But nope. And then the foreign minister of Ukraine said this. 東部の状況は言われているよりもっと悪い. So I can't believe they actually admitted this. But I think it's to get people to accept that Ukraine is going to lose soon. I think that's their they only use this one line to talk about how bad the situation is. Everything else is pro-Ukraine and anti-Russia. 私たちは武器が必要。本当にウクライナのことを考えるなら武器、そしてさらに武器だ。So, the foreign minister says, what we need is weapons. If you're really thinking about Ukraine, weapons, and more weapons. But people, you don't have enough people to fight with, so why is having weapons? I think what they're saying is they want, WMDs, the stupid word that the W made up. I think that's what they're referring to, but I can't even, you can't even prove what these people are saying because, the Japanese media is going to translate, they'll just show a picture and translate it any way they want to, so we don't know. And then, ロシア軍がウクライナでの攻勢を強める一方、ロシア国内でほころびが見え始めてます。So, while on one hand there's Russia's strengthening their attacks against Ukraine, in Russia they're having this they're starting to see a crack in there. Like they're trying to make it look like Putin has a lot of enemies, right? So, 27日ロシア国党の沿海地方の会議では So in the very very east in the like near the ocean. So they're saying in the far east of Russia, so I think they're talking like in the area of Siberia or something. But see, they just say that the region, they don't even say like the name. They could easily just say Siberia or something. But this is how they describe it. So, and now they're talking about, so here's one of the members of this parliament group, and then there's the head of parliament talking. So here's the representative here. 議員団はロシア大統領に対する以下の声明を作成しました。今から提案を読み上げます。尊敬するロシア大統領。Then, so this particular uh, what representative is trying to, like say praise Putin basically, and then this is ちょっとお待ちください, which is he's trying to stop him. So the head of parliament is trying to stop him from reading that, and then and this person says 大統領にお願いしたいのは, so he says what I want to ask of the president, and then he's cut off by this person, by the head of parliament, or the head of this, I guess, committee or whatever it is. It says Washukebichi Gin, and I don't. There's probably a minor politician, because it's like, based on all this, they're saying like, they're not being specific on the location, whereas they're very specific when they talk about Ukraine, right? They're saying, so it's like in Luhansk, the governor said this, and they name like the town where the Ukrainian soldiers are getting their butts kicked in Severodonetsk and stuff like that. But they're very, very loosey-goosey with the stuff going on here. So my guess is they're trying to make this stuff up. Because who would care about a small little region on the far east of Russia that probably doesn't have a whole lot of people in it? Because most of Russia's population is in the west, not in the east, due to the weather, right? So why would they focus on this point? This is unusual. So, 審議中に議員がプーチン大統領への当てた声明を読み上げました. So he was basically saying, delivering a message to, a message of support for Putin during a session of their debate or something. And then that they change. Whoever wrote this is a bloody idiot, because Washikebichi is what they said here, and then here it says Washukebichi, and then they go back to Washikebichi here. It's like there has to be something that they have to be making this stuff up, because why would you misspell it here, especially misspelled in such a way that this is intentional. They are whatever idiot Japanese person wrote this is controlled opposition. They're opposition, and they're trying to. People aren't going to notice this little, writing error in Japanese. They're just going to pass by it. I noticed it because, I can tell these things. This is very unusual. So now they're talking about this Washikebichi person. 軍事作戦をやめなければ工事がさらに増える。国の交換できたはずの若者たちが軍事作戦のせいで犠牲となり、身体に障害を負った。So, if we don't end the military operations, there will be a lot more orphans, and the country who like Russia has let's see okay, RFC 社会のために役立つように so these people, so the Russians have basically for the young people who should have had everything prepared and taken care of by the country, because of the military operation. Now, no se de means kind of like in a bad way. So it's the fault of the military operation has caused a lot of like sacrifices, and also a lot of disabilities in the people for the young people. そう、また今週前半にはロシア国際機関代表部ガモンのボリス・ボンダレフ氏が辞任しました。So, like one of the major politicians, like in their international something or other, international system or something, one of them quit. So, and they claim, he said, ロシアの外交官としてこれ以上関わることができません. He says he can't be involved with Russian foreign policies as a foreign minister, basically. I don't know this is how true this is, but based on my understanding of the situation, there's a lot of people in Russia who are pissed off at Putin for not going in with a full war declaration. And there's a lot more war hawks that are pissed that Putin is being so methodical about, being careful not to injure civilians and things like that. So it's a complete opposite of what I've heard. So whatever this person is, he's awfully, this seems awfully strange, especially considering that Russia has most of the people actually support Putin. So 一般のロシア国民の中に SNS で反戦を訴える人々がいます。So they're making a very vague statement here where even the average Russian on social networks are starting to or there are a few people on social networking sites that are against they're questioning the war, which is not a war, it's a military operation. So this is also another, like, they went from saying Gunji Sakusen here, which is military operation, to Hansen, which is anti-war, and they use the word war here. So they've got you kind of like warmed up for it, but then here they're like, okay, now we're gonna start using the word war, even though, like, as an objective observer, yes, it is a war, but according to Russia's own words, it's a military operation. Now, did it expand into a war? Yeah, it's a war, but the way that this is being written is the issue, I think. So, here's a resident of one particular, Sancto Petersburg, I don't even know where this is. まずロシア人全員がプーチンを支持しているわけではないこと、戦争を支持しているわけではないことを正解に示したい。むしろ国民の大半は戦争反対だと思う。This is bullshit. We've already seen lots of we've already seen lots of information come directly out of Russia. And this is not just like RT. This is, a lot of other places that have shown that people are very much in support of what's going on. So they're actively lying about this. So I think they made this person up. They just picked a city and they made up something. Yes, there are people who are against war because it's like 80-20 or something like that. But the number of people is a very small minority of people are actually against the war. So, they're either they're making this up or they're finding a very tiny minority of people comparatively to people who support Putin, and they're cherry picking them. So. Okay, let's see. モスクワの街中で、This is weird Japanese. It should be no naka de. Whoever wrote this article didn't do any editing, idiot. モスクワの街の中で見つけた反戦の秋学期の写真をアップし、侵攻を非難する女性は、So there's a woman who is, they're quoting here. It's what she said, that she's against the war, and she took pictures of Moscow streets with anti-war graffiti, and she uploaded that. But they're so, they don't give you all the information. So, first part、 誰でもチャンスがあれば掴みたいと思うはずです。私の場合少しでも他人の考えを変えたいと思ってます。ロシアでは何かのオープンの発言することが難しい。でも私は恐れてませんし、恐れていないということを示したいです。何もしない。今はこれが一番恥ずかしいです。So this supposed woman said, if anybody has a chance, they can, they would think to try to grab at that chance. And in her case, she wants, she wants to change the people's thinking, even if it's just a few people. Then she says that it's very hard in Russia to speak openly, which is bull. If you watch Oliver Stone's Putin interviews, it's, I think, 4 parts. It's very long. It's over 4 hours. But if you listen, like, you can tell when Putin is, kind of hiding something and not being very forthright. And you can tell when he's very, very, very serious and he's honest. He's answering very honestly. He's opened up to Oliver Stone. He actually, I think, has respect for Oliver Stone. So that's why it was a period of 2 years where Oliver Stone did these interviews. So Putin took the time over a 2-year span to make time for Oliver Stone to do interviews with him. So, this means, and Putin knows that Oliver Stone will not sugarcoat it. He will try to tell it in the most honest way. So, if he's going to be so honest in certain things, in certain feelings that he has about certain people or whatever, in that situation, but when you see where he's hiding something, he's not being very forthright, you can tell how he acts. And he was very honest about the Snowden issue too, where he was like, I didn't want to let Snowden stay. And I don't respect him because, you shouldn't tell on your country, basically. So the fact that Putin is very forthright about something like that, and very forthright about, he said, people are allowed to say what they want. He doesn't restrict them. And he's very forthright about that. So you have to take him at his word at that. So I don't actually believe any of what this woman says. And then she says she's not scared, and that she wants to show that she's not scared, and that she's the most, right now the most embarrassing thing for her is the people who don't do anything. I can name a few people who don't do something about certain things. So, let's continue. 侵攻に反対する空気はロシア軍内部にも漂っています。Then this is from Putin. The claim Putin said this. 彼はまさしく英雄だ。自らの意志で命を危険をさらしてる。So, and this is written very poorly. There should be a period here, or at least a comma, and it's not written. This is horribly written. It wasn't checked. It wasn't edited in any way. This is, or it could just be something made up and they just, didn't put it there. This seems very, very strange. I've already found a couple places here already that are strange about the way this person wrote this. It's awful. This isn't professional. I could write better than this. In Japanese too. So he's saying that they're all heroes, and then they are putting their lives in danger for their own beliefs. And then let's continue. 今週プーチン大統領はモスクワ病院で負傷した兵士を見舞いました。So this week Putin went to a hospital in Moscow to visit injured soldiers. So Putin asked, 家族に会いましたか? Have you seen your family? And then the soldier says, 会えておりません. So I haven't had a chance to see them. ここに来て少佐の顔を見たらご家族は安心するでしょう. So if by coming here and seeing the shosai, that's the rank of the person. I don't remember all the ranks in from Japanese and English, so we'll pass over that. But he's a higher ranked officer. He's officer class. Then your family will be relieved. Then 背景にあるのは戦力の消耗です。So in the background is the loss of military power. And so this is a complete lie. This sentence I'm going to read right now is a complete lie. It's absolute garbage. Because there's evidence to show this isn't true. There's absolute evidence that this is not true. 侵攻開始から3ヶ月余りイギリス国防省の分析ではロシア軍が投入した地上戦力の3分の1失ったと言います。So according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Defense's analysis, from the beginning to about the 3-month mark of this incursion, Russia's lost 1/3 of the troops they sent in, the ground troops they sent in, which is a complete lie. That's not true. There's lots of evidence to show that this isn't true. 兵士不足を解消する狙いか、ロシアでは今日、志願兵の年齢を上限を徹底する法案が成立しました。So, to eliminate the lack of soldiers, Russia today increased the age, the upper limit of the age. Well, they didn't eliminate. They eliminated the upper limit of age for people who want to join in, and they passed that bill. So they passed a bill eliminating the age limit for people who want to volunteer for service. However, this is what Ukraine did and Zelensky did 2 months ago, basically. I think it's already been 2 months since he did that. If not, it was at least a month ago. So they're taking... Russia doesn't have a lack of soldiers. They didn't use their full might to begin with. How can they be short of soldiers when they didn't send everybody in? Like, I believe the numbers were only... Well, Russia underestimated the Ukrainian troops, and they only sent like 150,000 versus Ukraine's 250,000, because that didn't count like the Azov and all these other groups that were secretly working for the government, right? I mean, we know they're not secretly working for the government. We know that they're actively working for the government, but they aren't counted in the actual, like, official troop numbers, right? So, Russia went in as an underdog. They didn't send everything in. Later, they added more troops and basically put their foot down. But Russia has not sent in all their troops. They've held back at least half of their military and half of their troops from going in. And this is a demonstrable fact that that's what happened. So this is a complete lie. こうした中、ロシア軍の兵士たちは、そう、during all this, the Russian troops, and they quote a troop, they quote some soldier, or well, he's some, like, civil rights activist, like protecting the rights of the Russian troops. It's that guy they mentioned at the beginning, Tabarov. もうこれ以上参加したくない、自分死にたくない、他人も殺したくないという声、毎日届いてます。So he's saying that I don't want to participate anymore, I don't want to die, I don't want to kill other people. These are the things every day he's getting messages that are saying this. Can we trust this person? I don't think so, because I want to know, why is he suddenly coming out of nowhere? Why are they talking about this person who probably nobody really knows about? I mean, I haven't heard this person's name anywhere in anything I've heard. So, 人権活動家でロシア兵や権利を保護する団体のタバロさんによると、ウクライナでの戦闘を拒否して帰還した兵士は少なくないと言います。They're basically repeating what at the beginning. This, human rights activist, he's part of an organization that protects the rights of the Russian soldiers. He said that it's not a small number of troops that are refusing to fight and returning home. This is a lie. The Ukrainian troops, there have been hundreds who have just, when the Russians came, they just put down their guns, stuck up their hands, and, were gone. They gave up right away because they don't want to die. They're taking what the Ukrainian troops are doing and placing it on the Russian troops. Because there's no evidence of this. I haven't heard any evidence of any Russian troop backing down. Now, are there people who say this? I would say there be. I mean, because, a lot of people don't want to go out and fight a war, right? But, do I believe that it's how they're saying? No, absolutely not. This is complete propaganda. Pro-Ukrainian propaganda, anti-Russian propaganda. So, 団体には毎日10件以上相談寄せられていると言います。So he's saying that every day he gets over 10 requests for consultation. Or the group gets that. So back to this Tabarov person. 中隊の大半の兵士を状態し、戦闘に参加することを拒否して帰って行ってしまいました。They're repeating the exact same thing again in different words. This is the third time in this article they've said this. And this is the thing that they're trying to force people to believe. Is when they've, usually they don't repeat themselves this much, but this is the third time they're repeating basically the exact same thing that most of the troops, because he's saying, 中隊の大半. So it means more than half, like a majority of the troops in certain battalions are breaking the battalions and refusing to fight and coming home. But it's basically the same thing I've said 3 times already. Here, they just said it right here. First time, and then at the very beginning they said the same thing, and the title of the article says it, so technically 4 times. So they're trying to brainwash the Japanese public into believing this is happening. 一方で止まることにした者もいました。彼らに対して指揮官が軍事裁判にかけるとか自殺するとか反逆罪で25年刑務所に入れるなどの生かしていたからです。So, I don't believe this. That the commanding officers of these battalions and stuff are saying they're gonna have military tribunals, they're gonna kill them. Jusatsu means shoot and kill them. And then for being a traitor, hangyakuzai is a traitor or a rebel, you'll be put in jail for 25 years. And that they're threatening these troops like this is what this guy is claiming. 彼は長い間 again the punctuation of this garbage, man. Everybody who's watched my videos so far and seen me do these articles, usually the articles are pretty, they're written professionally. This is god awful. This is like, BuzzFeed level garbage. Hell, even the BuzzFeed article I read, a couple days ago, this was written better than this. Ugh. There's no comma. There's supposed to be a no here. 彼の長い間の悩み. In between here, there should be a no. 私たちは契約を 発揮するよう2週間ほど説得してました。So, so they're basically advising after these troops they worried about for a long time. So they basically, what this guy, this Tabarov guy, did is he talked them into he took about 2 weeks to talk them into voiding their contracts with the military, I guess. So そして多くのロシア人にとってのこの侵攻は不可解であると思います。So saying that many Russians won't this won't solve anything. Actually, yes, it will, because now that the Azovs and the Ukrainian military are not shooting missiles into the Donbass, they are, the people are safe. There's been a lot of stuff that has gone through other sources because, people won't talk about this, is that because they're trying to hide the information, they're trying to hide the truth from in the media, they're trying to push a narrative. And so the actual truth about what's going on there is clouded in a fog of war. Although the fact that this kind of article is being written in Japanese is telling people, you have to be against Russia, you have to, Russia's evil, this kind of stuff, right? So this is all part of the programming. It's easy to see when they repeat the same thing 4 stinking times, right? Okay, so let's finish this. 多くの人にとってこの戦争は不当な戦争であり、理解しがたい戦争なのです。みんながみんなオリガルヒのヨットやプーチンの宮殿のために死ぬ覚悟できているわけではありません。So, this must, I think, oligarchy is believe this is the oligarchy. So what he's saying, for many people, this is an unjust war, and it's a difficult war to understand, like why they're doing it. Then everybody's against. They're not prepared to die for the oligarch's yachts or Putin's temple or palace or something. The thing is, it's not Putin's palace, it's a presidential palace. Right? Putin's rich, like any of these people. Putin's a politician, he probably gets kickbacks from the oligarchs there. But, he if you watch the Oliver Stone interviews, you will hear how he changed the system of the oligarchy in Russia, and it actually opened it up to a lot of new business opportunities. And he managed to talk them into it. And he was very, very honest about that. That they weren't exactly on board with his plan at first, but once they heard him explain it, what he was planning to do, they got on board. Why do you think Russia has no debt to the Rothschilds or the IMF or any of these people? Because his plan was to get Russia out of debt, and he got them out of debt, and now he owes no money to them. So that's why they're able to do this. It's legally according to international law, because Putin even quoted the UN Charter, because he did it all in order when he did his speech on February 24th, which nobody's watched. Nobody's ever watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing twice. Now, with different translators, because there was one translator that was a Russian guy who was translating, and there was another one I watched on RT, and they had a full English translator. So, a native English translator. So, I watched 2 different versions of it. And both times, Putin said that, and he did it in this order. He says, I recognize the Donbass regions as 2 independent states, and under UN Charter, blah blah blah. I don't remember the exact charter. Under UN Charter, whatever it was, um, I am obligated to go help them because they have requested it. So he did everything very methodically. He first recognized them as as two independent republics and independent regions. And by doing that, if Russia puts if Russia accepts them as independent, then their calls for help that they've been doing for the past 8 years would flow right. They would have legal right to go in there and help them because they're requesting help as independent states, not as a piece of Ukraine, right? So he did this very methodically. And if you go and listen to his entire speech and listen to a couple different translators who did it, you will hear Putin say this. And this is extremely vital because he's doing it under legal charters. Something that W didn't do when he went to Iraq, or even Afghanistan for that matter. Clinton didn't do it when he, went after Yugoslavia. I believe Herbert Walker Bush actually got the go ahead at the United Nations, if I recall correctly. But every incursion the U.S. has done since Clinton in foreign affairs in foreign countries has been against UN charters. So you have, Yugoslavia, NATO had no right going in there. And they went in as NATO, not as the United States. So they used NATO as a shield for that. Because Yugoslavia, I don't believe was in NATO at the time. And then you look at Afghanistan, Iraq #2. W went in there on his own. He had Colin Powell go to the UN and hold some white powder in a bag, which was probably like salt or something, or like sugar or something, or baking powder, to pretend that Iraq had nuclear or like chemical weapons or something like that. And then Obama, Barry, everything he did was completely illegal. All his drone strikes in Yemen, and the fact that he killed the American Taliban without a trial was against the Constitution, which is completely illegal. As an American citizen, we have a right to a fair trial, and that set a precedent to where even me living in Japan, if, say, I said something that, like Brandon didn't like, he could kill me because Obama, Barry, set that precedent where if you do that, you get a death sentence, but that's against it's in the Constitution that Americans doesn't have a right to a fair trial. So, the Constitution supposedly protects us, but Barry ignored it. So, that's already breaking, United States Constitution. And then Syria, not Syria was Orange Man. What was it? Libya, a total illegal incursion. He had no right doing that. And there was a lot of lost lives because of Benghazi, thanks to one woman who likes to suicide people. And that, of course, was Barry up to his tricks again. And then, Orange Man had no right going into Syria. And if you know anything about ISIS, yeah, we were fighting them in Iraq, but when it came to Syria, the U.S. was supporting them with weapons and all kinds of stuff. And they let them have what they wanted throughout, whatever they wanted to do. They did some disgusting things in Syria, and then they blamed that on the Assad administration. And Bashar al-Assad he's a leader of Syria, but he's also one of a minority who's in charge there. He's not in majority group of people in Syria. He's a minority. So, this has been a constant thing. And this article basically is, same kind of thing. Let's just, lie about everything, tell everybody a bunch of lies, you know, use the fog of war to keep people from learning the truth about what's going on. So anyway, I'm done with this article, and if you like this kind of content, please check out my other sites where I upload, because that's where I put all my stuff so I can speak freely about everything. So please check out those links. I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube and stuff, so I was very careful about how I worded certain things. But most of my content is on other sites because I want to speak freely, and I have a big mouth, and I don't want to censor myself. So if you want to see this kind of more of this kind of content, please check those sites. I will post the links in the pinned comment. So see you in the next video.